Hello, this is Vicky from Bristol Print Collective. Welcome to your Colourful Drypoint Printing Kit. And you can start unboxing your kit, discovering all of the tools, materials included. And you've got tissue paper, dry point card, your paper to print on, as well as A4 blotting paper, and all of the drawing materials and ink. So I'm going to talk you through the whole process, and don't worry if you've never done this before, it's designed for a complete beginner. So the first thing you're going to do is start with a sketch. So I'm drawing here on some paper. I've measured it so I know it's going to fit on my dry point card. So you get 3 cards that you can make prints with. So this is just something, if you do want to sketch out first, you can do it like this. So you have your drawing and then you can trace it using a biro by just placing the sketch over the top of the card and pushing with a bit of extra force with the biro pen, and that will give marks onto the dry point. So you can see on the light, you can see the lines that have been pressed from tracing. So this is one way, or you can just draw directly onto the dry point card. Some people like to trace something first. So you can then go over your lines with the biro, and the biro puts that bit of pressure onto the card, and that's where the ink will sit in. So now I'm using the dry point needle, and that's the tool which actually will create those grooves that the ink will sit inside. And as it's card that you're working on, one side has a shiny surface and on the back it's just plain, and on the layer under the shiny surface is rough. So if you scratch into that, you'll see the rough side kind of comes through, and that's where the ink can sit on, so it won't sit on the shiny smooth surface. So any kind of marks you make with the dry point needle or biro will pick up the ink. And you can also peel back some of the dry point shinier surface and reveal like a large chunk of the rough card. So that's what I'm doing here, just peeling off a little section that will have that rough texture. You can also scratch back into that and it will make a really velvety dark print surface. So we've also got sandpaper that's included in the kit, and this is because you can use this to create cross hatching, and you can rip off a small piece, you don't need much, and you can lightly rub areas of the dry point card, and this will obviously roughen up the surface, and therefore it creates these cross-hatched areas. And it's quite unexpected how it will work. I'm trying to show you that the surface there is roughened from the sandpaper, but you'll see how it prints. So the next thing you're doing is soaking paper. If you just get a bowl of water, drop your paper, you don't need to put all of them in, maybe just 3 at first, so fully immerse it, and then pull off the paper, just let that drip, and then you're going to put it, sandwich it in between the 2 A4 sheets of of blotting paper, and then you can just rub that smooth with your hands and until it's still damp but it's not dripping with water. So the reason why we dampen the paper and then blot it is that although it's dry again, it's a lot looser and the fibres of the paper have opened up. So when we're putting the ink on top of the dry point card, it can then accept the ink onto the paper. This is an oil-based ink that will work for dry point printmaking. So what you need to do is scrape it over the cards. You're scraping the whole surface, and you can use the side of the palette knife, drag it across, and just allow the ink to kind of settle in to the grooves that you've drawn, and all you need to do is scrape it across. The next thing, which seems a bit unusual, is we're actually trying to scrape off all of that ink again, but this time we're only scraping off the top surface. So we want all the ink to sit into the pen marks and the etching needle marks that we made. So you're just scraping it back, just again with the same palette knife, just until you can start to reveal some of the surface again. Next is using the scrim, and this is a fabric that has a mesh, and it will scoop up some of that ink which is on the top surface. You hold it like a kind of scrunched up ball of fabric, and just using like a rotation, like circular rotation, it will pick off that top surface layer of ink. And you'll start to see in this video the image is revealing again, so you know it's there. And what you want to do is keep wiping with the scrim until you feel that's the image you want to print with. You can actually leave some ink on if you want it to be darker. So just wipe it. You can move the scrim around so if it's got a bit too inky, just re-scrunch it. Next, just to finish off, I'm using a really small piece of tissue paper and just polishing some of those fine edges. So then you're going to do some chine-collé. So this is about putting some coloured tissue onto the dry point card, so it will then glue onto the paper. So I'm just using the glue stick and gluing one side, and then you're placing it onto the dry point card where you want it, and just kind of not pressing down, just sort of dropping it into position with the glue side facing up. And that's because you want it to stick to the paper, not to the dry point card. And so just arrange it however you like with whatever image you're making. It can be quite abstract. It can also come off the dry point card. It doesn't have to just fit inside that card size. So yeah, you don't have to do this at all. You could just print it without the coloured paper, but this is a nice technique to introduce colour. Next, you're going to take your soaked and blotted paper that's ready, and you're going to place that on top of the dry point card. So you're using a handy press that comes with the kit. So you're having one hand that holds onto the dry point card. So that's really important because you don't want it to wobble. So you want to keep a pressure with one hand on the card, and the other with the roller will just go up and down. You can go in different directions as well. Just be aware of the areas you've gone to. You might even see that because the paper is soaked, you can kind of see the areas you've gone to. So just try to run the roller along the whole surface. Next, you're going to peel off the paper, and the tissue paper might be a little bit fiddly, so you can just help that along if you need to. So these are the prints I've made. So obviously, once you've made one print, you can make another. You just repeat the process by inking up, soaking more paper, and carrying on. And just to say about how to look after your prints, you want to rest them in white tissue paper under some heavy books and leave them overnight. And just to explain how to wash up, you can wash all of the tools with warm soapy water, and just use a washing up bowl to clean off the palette knife and also the scrim, the fabric. It might look really inky and you'll probably want to think, oh, I'll throw that away, but don't throw it away. You can still wash this and just put some extra washing up liquid, and you'll soon see, if you persevere, you can take off a lot of the ink, because it is water soluble. And you can also do the same with your gloves. And that's the process of dry point printmaking. If you've got any questions, then feel free to get in contact with us on our website or Instagram or email. Thanks so much for joining us, and I can't wait to see your prints. Please let us know how you get on with dry point printmaking at home with our kit. Thank you for watching.